let's talk about like sort of getting of the loss of clarity, the loss of the clarity of just at the moment, not that we're backing up all the way, but just sometimes when it seems that we forget who we really are and we fall into that which we thought we were for so very long. For in my case, I thought I was a Fred Davis for 50 years and a little bit more than 50 years. And much to my surprise, I discovered that that wasn't true. And it was, there's Hannah. The discovery that I wasn't Fred Davis, we're getting feedback from somewhere. There we go. The discovery that I wasn't Fred Davis was a shock because I had everything in my life set upon this bowl. This was a bowl representing Fred Davis. And I had, my preferences and I had my dislikes in there. And I had my the things that I really loved and the things that I really hated, and I loved, and I noticed that I had everything neatly divided into good and bad, and black and white, and right and wrong. I knew a great deal about right and wrong back then. I don't know so much now, thank God. But the funny thing about what I'm just going to call it going unconscious, the funny thing about going unconscious is that we typically don't notice it. What we notice is when we come back into consciousness. And then there's a feeling like, oh, wow, I've been unconscious for a day or an hour or 2 minutes or whatever it is. But usually it's some period of time and we notice that I've been unconscious. And I wonder how we could notice that it's not a transition because there's nowhere to go, but it feels like a transition. It feels like that you're somewhere, and then it feels like you fall out of that somewhere. That you had something and then you lost it. So when we look at that, I wonder if there's any way that we can find. I can tell you what I things I've done. But the biggest thing is you need to be able to catch it. And that's the problem, is that it's so subtle, that shift. So ways that I look at it to recognize that there's been a shift of the moment is like I just notice that everybody's wrong. Right? I don't know what it's about, but whatever it is about, everybody's wrong except for me. And that's legitimately the way it will feel. And now when I have that feeling, I know immediately that I'm dreaming. And all I need to do is notice that I'm dreaming, and that alone will flip me out of it. Noticing that you're dreaming will take you out of it. Besides that, noticing that I'm very worried. I'm worried about money. I'm worried about romance. I'm worried about politics. I'm worried about weather. I'm just worried, worried, worried. And that's a sure indicator that I'm dreaming. And some element of dreaming can actually be easily forgiven these days with things as dramatic as they are on the world stage. But it doesn't help anyone for us to just join the crowd and okay, let's all be unconscious together. It is actually your consciousness, your alert consciousness, that is the only thing that can actually that I can see that can actually cause the sort of radical shift that we have to undergo as earthlings and as Americans and as just folks. Because when we know who we are, we're reasonable people. We're not particularly we're not greedy if we know who we are. We're not angry if we know who we are. It might be this brief anger, but that's just an expression. It's not necessarily me inhabiting that anger. It's just conditioning. But if I'm angry for any period of time, like that's building a grudge and all that, I'm sleeping. If I get really irritated easily, like the dogs are a good barometer for me. You know, y'all know that, I mean, the sun rises and sets in those dogs, and uh, I'd rather me get hurt than them. But sometimes little dogs, just being little dogs, uh, can get annoying if I'm trying to do some kind of delicate thing here on the computer or in a satsang or whatever, and one of them's down here worrying me for a treat. And the only reason he worries me for a treat is that I've given him treats. And so now he expects to get what he always got. And he usually does. But it can be irritating if I don't have one available or if that doesn't do the job in stopping them. The what else? Irritation, anger. If I'm believing in anything adamantly, if I'm believing that I'm the smartest guy in the room, I'm definitely dreaming. And if I'm dreaming that it would actually matter as to who was the smartest guy in the room, I'm still dreaming. That's dreaming too. If I was it, then it makes me important. And if I'm not, it makes me jealous. That's not clarity. That's the humanity bleeding through. And it's okay. We're humans. And that kind of thing is going to bleed through. But we're not just humans. We're also divinity. And if we were to come down to the real ultimate nature of things, there's only divinity. But the feeling of genuine separation, any sort of separation, which is, or beating myself up. You're not good enough you're not just not good at that, Fred. You're just not any good at it. You're never going to be any good at it. That may be true in some instances, but it can't be true in all the instances where I've declared it. I wouldn't be able to sit, I don't think. The That believing adamantly is usually going to be, I'm believing I'm right. And that's the real trick, is that we don't want to confess that we might not be right. We don't even want to just, you can see what's going on the national stage and see what happens when you do. And I don't want to be a part of any of that. I don't want to be right. I want to be free. And you can't be both at the same time. You really can't. And you can be, you can't be right and free is what I'm saying. You can be happy and be free for sure. Well, you can't be right and be free, because there's somebody then who is right and somebody who is wrong, and that's duality. And all of these simple little things are trippers for us. They throw us back into uh, the sense of separation. So let's just close our eyes for a minute and do a quick little exercise. So just for a moment, if you have to pretend this, then pretend it. Don't push against it. I don't have to pretend. I know that I am oneness. I know that you are oneness. And I know that there is only oneness. And as oneness, is there anything that I can suffer over? as oneness? No, because as oneness, I can notice that there's really nothing happening. There's a world of activity, but that's a dream world. There's a world of excitement and a world of cruelty, a world of hunger. But if I'm recognizing that beyond the need to do something about it, then I'm suffering for nothing. It doesn't help me to suffer with people who don't have food today. I can feel their pain, and therefore I'm going to try to feed them. I try every month to feed people who don't have food. So it's not that it's ignored. It just means that I don't take it personally. And my feelings don't really get to count. Because my feelings could be, that, well, you got yourself into this, get yourself out. But I noticed I got myself into a bunch of crap and I didn't get me out. Can I come to notice that there's only one true thing? And that's that I can speak of, which is this sense of being, this sense of presence here now. So simple. If you feel like you can't notice it, you're already noticing it. You're always noticing it. You're adding to it is where the confusion comes, but you're starting out always knowing that there's just this one thing. We can go in further and say no thing, but for right now, I'm going to stick with one thing. We know that there, within this one thing, there are no mistakes. There are no errors. There's not really a problem. There may be imbalance. And where there's imbalance, it may be that I'm called upon to make some sort of input that could bring it at least a hair further into balance. And when I say I'm just talking about that the unit will respond. The unit responds as it does, and I don't control it. If I look at people like in Ukraine, for Ukrainians, I've got to see that they are innocents and that they did nothing to cause this. But it then doesn't pay me to continue up on that and say, and the Russian bad guys did so and they shouldn't have, because everything that's happened has happened because it had to. So at this moment, there are no errors here. You may feel an error, like, well, I'm just not quite on the ball enough to understand what he's saying. You're understanding it. Don't worry about the unit. You're understanding this just fine. Just come back to recognizing I don't know what I am. And if I don't know what I am, I can't know what's going on here. So if I don't know what I am and I don't know what's going on here, I can't possibly tell myself a believable story that this isn't as it has to be. There's no alternative. But that's a hard line, that no alternative. It's not slippery at all. So what I don't want to do is add my own frustration into it, which is, and my own anger. And I can get pretty righteous pretty fast when it comes to politics. But the relativity's got to go the way it does. It doesn't have anything to do with anything. It's just not as important as you think. It's vital in the sense that we need to address it and care for it, but we don't need to worry about it. That's the thing. Everything counts, but in the end, nothing matters.